have to, think of nothing different. It's just a routine thing every day.
Here's the else is in the shower.
Being able to go in the store and get what I want to get. I got to get what they provide. I might not like eating a certain type of cereal, but that's all they offer. I might want to pick something else.
I miss the fact that I can't go to the bar.
Believe it or not, some individuals think because their fathers used to be criminals, they need to grow up and to be criminals like their fathers too. They really do. I'll never forget one time. I must have been about 10 years old. Had a friend of mine, he must have been about 8 years old. He said, you know what? My father's doing 30 years in the feds. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's a long time. So, what ended up happening is like many years later, my friend ended up in the feds like his father. Imagine that. Imagine ending up in the feds just like your father. Idolizing criminals. Believe it or not, a lot of young men who their fathers was like criminals and doing a long period of time behind the bars, they tend to want to be tough guys for whatever reason. For example, Lil Durk. His father did about 26 years, and instead of Lil Durk learning from what his father did, as far as learning from his father's mistakes, meaning I'm sure his father didn't go to jail for no reason at all. He must have committed a crime. Doesn't matter what crime it is, but 26 years, it must have been a very serious crime. But instead of Lil Durk learning from his father's serious crime, he's probably just like my friend who said, you know what? I don't know what my friend was thinking, but as I said, my friend ended up behind the bar just like his father doing Fed time too. So this is a situation with Lil Durk right here. He didn't learn from his father. I think my friend idolized his father, like I said, and I believe Lil Durk probably idolized his father. In a sense, meaning, you know what I mean. So he's in a situation like his father right now, not realizing that why his father is so appreciative, to not be behind the bars anymore, and why he went out his way to actually get into like religion and stuff like that, because he realized being behind the bars, it's a brutal place. When I mean brutal, imagine individuals knocking you up. Let me out. I want to go home. Let me out. You hear that every night from some individual. Keep in mind, you're locked up in a cage setting. Imagine me locked up in a cage setting. It's very, 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 you know how it is. Imagine, but Lil Durk, his father came out. He just went in like my friend. I remember listening to a Lil Durk interview, and he said, you know what? I rather go to prison than to tell one of my friends. But here's the thing right here, right? Prison's not any joke in any way, shape, or form. That's why a lot of individuals try to avoid it. So right now, Lil Durk is being placed in a position where, you know what? They say he could probably get a life at the bare minimum, probably get a little higher, if you know what I mean. You know what's worse in life, you know what I mean. But I was listening to an interview, and this is what an individual had to say right here about how it is when, you probably got to get life behind the bars. It was crazy, really was.
It was hard time. But once I got convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life. Once you sentence to life sentence, you really don't keep up with time. Time don't even have a place in your life anymore. You know, you don't have nothing to look forward to, what I'm talking about. So you don't have no out date to look forward to. After a while, you started forgetting the months, you started forgetting the dates, and time just started passing. Before you realize it, you come to a point you realize you've been here 30 years and don't even realize it.
As you can see, being behind the bars is no fun in any way, shape, or form. A lot of individuals, you know, they don't know the real reality of life until that judge tell them, you know what, you never come back out, and I'm going home later on, hang out with my family, I'm going to eat steak, and I promise you I won't even think about the case. I won't even think about your case ever again. Think about it. Think about that. Now you're doing life, and you're saying, wow, it's really like this. But they said this will happen sometimes when you're behind the bars for a long period of time. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine being behind the bars for a long period of time. This is what happens. It's the truth. I don't know, but that's what he's saying. I believe him. I believe him. He was behind there for a long time. He ain't getting out.
I often, you come to a point where you really don't have no future. You only have a past. You don't even have a present. So all the memories you have is from the past. And you find yourself living in the past constantly. And they come to a point where they don't even think about freedom. They don't even think about going home. They just here. And it's just like an accepted thing among most of people here. You know.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But that's how it goes sometimes. They said, you know what? It's a crazy world. Tough guys. Up and coming tough guys. Hopefully they can learn from the past of them coming tough guys. They can say, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Imagine that. Young successful rapper. Now, only thing you have to worry about is never come out. You know, you never come back out. You never come back out. Not having that date is crazy. I said it drives you crazy mentally. Physically, you could probably handle it until you get a little bit older.
Yeah, but out of 400 and some people back here, you may have 20, 25 that is in late 20s, early 30s. But the majority of people back here is in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and we got people in the 80s back here. And they've been here. All they need is a shot, a deserved shot, a chance to get out there. And they've been better themselves. And you have a few, not a lot, but a few that, you know, and then you have the other side of the coin where you got some that just don't care. They just here, they don't care, you know, if they see the day or tomorrow.
Here we go. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Here we have another crazy story. Believe it or not, a whole lot of individuals, believe it or not, they say, you know what, I'm going to do the time. I'm going to do the crime. And if I have to go do the time, I go do the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's where it gets kind of crazy. Though. It all depends on the type of crime you decide that you want to do. For example, you have this little Durk situation. And you have the C murder situation, and you have the ARS situation, and you even have the raw dig situation. So here we have four individuals who decide, you know what, I'm going to throw it all away. The best person out of this whole four is Arab. Arab's only do like 44, 45 years. At least he right there has a get out date. So, you know, even though it's a very, very long time, it's so long, it's still a get out date. And having a get out date is like, it's a big relief, even if it's 100 years down the road, believe it or not. But not having a get out date, like for example, Rod Diggs, we're gonna go back to him, see Murder, and maybe Lil Durk. Imagine that. Imagine never having a get out date, and your get out date, unfortunately, it will be, I don't want to say it because it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, but it's a true reality of committing certain crimes. You know, it basically your get out date is basically, you know, leaving out there in a body bag. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Think about that. Going behind the bars, physically, you could do it. Yeah, you can. Why not? The body could handle a whole lot of things, but psychologically, when you get that life, like what Lil Durk might be facing, Lil Durk, the act that he was, you know, might be getting that life for is one of them is interstate, meaning, you know, he sends someone from another state to go commit a crime in another state. I believe they said they use a machine gun and this and that.
Got it to the end. Like, that's just what it is.
Like, you know, they say he uses credit card. That's how they tied him into it. But the point I'm trying to make is that exit date. Once you don't have that exit date, it drives you crazy mentally because you say to yourself after a while, you know what, wow, the only time we're going to get out of here is when I'm in that body bag. Wow. So basically, I just basically went out of my way to sit down in this small place just to know the next time I get out of here isn't one of those things. It's a crazy thing mentally. As I said, physically you can handle it. See Murder right now, he's about in his 50s. He's been in there for, you know, over a decade. Rod Diggs, he can handle it. He's been over there for over decades too. Lil Durk, I'm sure he's gonna be able to handle it, you know, even after a couple of decades. But just to think of it, you know, as I said, it's very, very, very easy to commit a crime, but unfortunately, going behind bars sometimes, you know what, you say, you know what, I don't want to be here. I can't do much here. You know, it's an unproductive place. Imagine that. I mean, it could be a useful place if you don't have anywhere to stay. Maybe you're homeless, you need somewhere to stay. But imagine you're a multi-millionaire and you're locked behind the bars amongst these regular down and out criminals. It's a crazy life to live. The life of Lil Durk, the life of Arab, C Murder, who else? Rod Diggs, gangsters. Imagine that. When they go behind the bars, the judge say, you know what? I mean, sometimes it's a mandatory minimum. Imagine that. Imagine a mandatory minimum when judges say, you know what? I want to help you out. I really don't. I'm lying. You know what I mean. Imagine criminals want to commit crimes and don't want to do their time. They said life's a long time. They said leaving behind the bars in that unfortunate way. Here's what this man had to say. That's why one of his regrets behind the bars, not to separate himself from his friends and his family, but his loved ones.
Reuniting my mother. I don't want my mother to pass while I'm in here. That's my biggest concern, you know. But no, I don't have any kids. But
Believe it or not, committing crimes that go behind the bars doesn't just affect you alone. It affects everyone, especially individuals who care about you. Imagine that, not having the luxury to bury your mother anymore because you decide to go commit a crime to a stranger, someone who doesn't even know you or love you or appreciate you. Only thing you know is that you're just there for that individual. Lil Durk, they said Lil Durk is being accused of trying to do something, crying to Rondo, end up doing something to a next individual. Imagine that. Not even getting the person you want to get. Not saying it's good to get the person you want to get, but I'm just saying he's behind the bars for all around reasons. And they said, unfortunately, if he gets life, unfortunately, he won't be getting out until he get out in one of those body bags. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Hopefully, individuals will learn from Lil Durk's mistakes. I'm just talking. That's it. They say crime don't pay, though. Crime don't pay. But I saw him do it, though. Unbelievable.